Now, I created a handy-dandy graphic here that depicts what we call the real world of needs. The whole idea of what you're going to need in the future and how you need to position that money. This is really, really helpful stuff. So let's kind of walk through this. This is what I've learned over the years about needing money. Remember, folks, if the money is to be positioned so we can use it when we need it, then we have to be careful about where it's positioned. You can't have 100% of your money in the stock market. That's why you need to follow something like this. Let's look at the first, we'll call it box of money. The first box of money is the money you need now. Now, what are we talking about here? We're just talking about expenses. Let's go over a couple of these ideas of expenses. Maybe you've got a homeowner's insurance, you've got a house payment, you've got a car payment, you've got gasoline, you've got food, you've got, obviously there's lots of need for toilet paper out there nowadays. You have these needs and you have to have money that makes sure those expenses are met, which of course is one of my concerns now with everything shutting down. There's a lot of people out there that don't have a lot of money. They have these expenses and these expenses aren't going away, and if you shut off their income, I don't know how in the world they're going to meet expenses. Well, the same thing happens in retirement planning. These expenses don't go away. So let's look at the next box. This is the need later box. This is what we call your future income or retirement income. Folks, you're saving money for later. That's what retirement planning is all about. And of course, if you're working with Tony Walker Financial, depending on how much assets you have, we're probably going to recommend that you put in some mailbox money. Why? Because when you get into retirement, we want to make sure we have a guaranteed, let me repeat that, guaranteed source of income you can never outlive. All right, the third box, might need now money. Now, what in the world is this, Tony? Well, some of you are sitting there with no money in savings. Now, I don't understand this because things will come up. Repairs, a new car, etc. Let me give you an example of this. My daughter Lacey, thankfully she's okay, but her and our two grandchildren were in a very bad accident here. Somebody broadsided them down here on Shelbyville Road in Louisville. Now, the car I'd given them was an old Toyota with 200,000 miles on it. This was a dandy of a car, but it was older, folks, and had 200,000 miles. The insurance company, the other insurance company paid for that vehicle, but only what's called the actual cash value. They're not going to replace that car. So my daughter and son-in-law had to come up with the money, fortunately they had it, to buy a new car with the difference the insurance company made. Not a great deal, but thankfully they had the money. And then finally, the might need later. Well, what's that all about, Tony? That could include long-term care. You know, you could go into a facility. Nobody plans on that, but that could happen. And then this is what I'm seeing a lot, helping people that are in your immediate family. Do you know how many people I'm meeting with now? Just happened on Monday of this past week. Had clients come in, hadn't seen them in a couple of years, had a little fellow running around with them, and I said, hey, I knew they couldn't have had that child that age. I said, who's this little fella? They said, that's our grandchild. I said, oh, isn't he cute? Where's his mother? Oh, our daughter. He and our daughter now live with us full time. So I'm sure 20 years ago, we hadn't talked about that. Little Junior here wasn't even born. Nobody would have suspected that they would need money later to help out with the cost, which they're glad to do, associated with a grandson and daughter who's just moved back in with them. So how do we accomplish all that? What do we really do with a model like this? Well, let's take a look at this. The reason we have our split IRA concept and the reason we use Charles Schwab is an investment company. We use a lot of investments there. There is some risk with Charles Schwab, but we're not putting all the money there. That's not what we're using. We're not trying to use Charles Schwab like a 401k and trying to grow your money to some future date and take all kinds of risk. What we're doing is we're covering current expenses and then the might need now expenses with Schwab. Why do we do that? Well, since we're known around the country for the amount of annuities we use, unfortunately annuities are not very liquid. So we use annuities for the need later, and we also use annuities for the might need later. See how this works, folks? This is not rocket science. We want to get control over our money, so to do that we have to position it properly. We have to understand the needs of money, and we have to understand, more importantly, that things are going to change. Just like this coronavirus. Nobody, I don't care who they are, I don't care what they're trying to pitch or sell now, nobody would have ever predicted that this virus would have come out of nowhere and that it would have wreaked such havoc economically. This is why most of our clients are not real worried about this. Yeah, do some of our clients have some money in the market? Is it down? Yeah, it's down. Should they stay put? More than likely, most of them should, because we've got other monies available. We've got a game plan that meets these unexpected situations that will, not can, that will arise. Well, how about you? You may be sitting there saying, Tony, you know what? All I've been doing is just throwing money into the market blindly, and people are telling me to hang in there, and I'm worried sick. Well, that's you. If you don't have a game plan like this, if we've been flipping the switch here and you're realizing, hey man, a light's going off here, there is hope, there is something different I can do with my money, why don't you do this? Why don't you log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. And once there, all you got to do is click on the Let's Get Started button, and we will be happy to meet with you in person to review your situation.